So I'm Rachel, and I am an adult Langerhans cell histiocytosis multisystem BRAF V600E positive patient. I am 1 in 2 million, and this is how I got here. I don't even know where to start this story. So way back in 2007, I started having problems with my lymph nodes swelling up. And for years, like, the doctors tested me and they misdiagnosed me with cat scratch fever, lymphoma, some kind of strange blood cancer, mysterious blood cancer. They never could pinpoint anything. And I went to the Mayo Clinic, I went to Cincinnati, I went everywhere. I just went everywhere, trying to find somebody that could help me. And it even got to the point where one doctor was like, well, we're just gonna give you chemotherapy because we don't know what it is, but chemotherapy might help. And so I was like, no, we're not gonna do that. I talked to my primary care doctor, and he sent me over to oncology. And I went back and forth with oncology for about a year with every kind of blood test you can imagine, like so many blood tests. It was crazy. And I had PET scans, CT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds, x-rays, you name it, I had it done. Like bone scans, we did everything. They sent all of that up to Cincinnati, and I went to Cincinnati, and the specialist there was like, oh, well, this is pretty rare. It's called follicular lymph node hyperplasia, and there's really not a whole lot we can do about it but treat it with antibiotics, and when the lymph nodes get too big, we can just take them out. So I did that from 2007 until 2017, really, 17. And then I started having a lot of weird new symptoms. Skin lesions, you can still, I've got remnants of some of my most recent ones. Then I ended up with squamous cell carcinoma, had that removed. The oncologist started doing scans every 3 months. And so from 2017 until 2022, scans were always okay. I would do a PET scan once a year and CT scans every 3 months. Nothing ever changed. But, I had got to this point mentally where I lived on the edge of any day now, because that's what the specialist told me. That's what my primary care doctor told me. Anytime now, you're going to wake up and this is going to be lymphoma. You are going to have lymphoma. That's what they told me. So I lived in this constant dread of these 3-month scans coming up, and this constant dread of, when am I going to wake up and this is going to be cancer? I just knew it was coming. But 2022, so last year, 14 months ago, I go in for my scans in March of 22, clear, no problems. Lymph nodes are still big. They're just fluctuating in size. Blood work still, my blood work has always been red blood cell, white blood cell, hematocrit, and what's the other one? Anyways, they were always all high, always too high. But nothing ever, there's a line that you have to cross that takes it from being too high to being cancer, and I was always right under that line. So scans were clear. We was okay, so come back in 3 months. So I go back in June, have my scans done, la-di-da, thinking everything's gonna be okay, and I get a phone call. And instead of coming back in 2 weeks like normal, can you come in tomorrow? So I was like, oh, this is not good. So I go into oncology the next morning, and she's like, I don't know what to say to you, because when I looked at this, I thought they mixed up your scan with someone else's. And I was like, well, what's it say? And just my lungs full of cancer. All 4 chambers just bam, full. And I'm like, whoa, how did this happen? Where did this come from? And that's what she said. I don't know where this came from. Do not know. We always thought it would be in your lymph nodes. So I was upset. She was upset. We were all upset, So I left that day thinking that I had lung cancer. But because I had been through this and been tortured all these years, my oncologist, who I absolutely love her, she schedules, I have 11 appointments in 7 days. And at the end of that 7 days, I had a colonoscopy, an endoscopy, I had bone marrow, I had like every kind of, I had PET, she expedited my PET scan, expedited all my scans. I had mammograms, they wanted, because we was like, okay, so it's just exploded in your lungs, so where did it come from? We have to find out where it started. So, and I had been having I want to say I was asymptomatic, other than I had started running fevers like a month before all this happened. I went in and got all the scans, and then I got the colonoscopy and the endoscopy, and she was like, preliminary tests are not really telling us anything, so we're going to schedule you to see a lung specialist, and he will probably do lung surgery. They go in, and it's really graphic. I was terrified. It was scheduled. I was scheduled to go have this surgery done. They go in and they deflate your lungs, and they take samples, and they were gonna have to deflate both of mine and take samples from all 4 chambers. So it was terrifying. The prospect of having that done was terrifying. So I was supposed to have the lung surgery and simultaneously have the bone marrow test and all that. There was like a 2.5 week gap, and I got a phone call. It's very odd. It was on a Saturday, and it was the actual doctor who did my scopes. And she was like, so you have been diagnosed with Langerhans cell histiocytosis. And I'm like, okay, what's that? And she's like, all I know is it used to be a histiocyte disease, and now it's been declared a cancer. And I've only ever seen it in medical school. I've never seen it in a patient. I don't know any doctors that have seen it in patients. I spoke to the lab. I spoke to all the specialists I know. So I'm going to send this over to your oncologist, and we will go from there. So I go in to see my oncologist, and she's like, well, I spoke to the lung specialist, and he says there's no sense in traumatizing your lungs for the surgery because we know now what it is. And I'm still skeptical. I will say that to this very day, I'm still skeptical that that's what's going on in my lungs. I truly think there's some kind of other cancer going on in there. So there was 4 options. She's like, there's 4 people that can treat this, that we know specialize in adult Langerhans, multi-system adult Langerhans. And apparently the specialty lab that did your scopes says that you're BRAF V600E positive, which is a gene mutation that occurs in some Langerhans patients. So she was like, New York, California, Texas, or Ohio. Now, obviously, at this point, I've been sick for a few weeks, and I'm having to get all this stuff done. And she says, you're gonna have to go on some kind of chemo. We're not real sure, but we're gonna send you up there and see what's going on. So she knew the guy in Ohio, so that's where we went because it's close. Well, it's not really that close. It's 400 miles. It's a 400-mile trip for me. So we go up there, and he basically tells me everything that I've researched on my own, except that there are very few options for treatment, and the main option is one that they've used for kids. Langerhans is a childhood cancer. It's mostly seen in newborn to 6-month-old up to 18-month-olds. for diagnosis. And generally, it's highly treatable, highly curable. But when I researched adult Langerhans, like the cure rates went down, the life expectancy goes down, but I digress. So this specialist says to me, I want you to try an experimental chemo. It's not FDA approved for your cancer, but it is FDA approved for melanoma. So I'm gonna have you try this first because it targets the BRAF gene. I didn't want to do it because this treatment that I was agreeing to take takes a long time. I ended up having to quit my job, and he told me like the side effects are very small. He's like, give me 6 months, let's try this. If it doesn't work, we'll switch you. So I get on this chemo, and it's called Zelboraf. And I think that's focusing. I don't know. Zelboraf. Okay. It takes like 45 days of fighting with the insurance company to get it paid for. And the monthly copay is $1,435. And it's not FDA approved, so that's why they fought me on it. But I get on it, and within 2 weeks, my hair starts falling out. And within 3 days, I'm vomiting every time I turn around. I have massive headaches. I'm breaking out. I have all these side effects that he told me, oh, you're not going to have these side effects. So within 2 weeks, my hair is falling out. My eyebrows are thinning out. Like it's just crazy. And I'm like, well, okay, this is good. That means it's working. So I'm on it for 6 months. And in the meantime, we're having scans. We're seeing some improvement. Like my lungs are starting to look more clear. They repeat scopes at 6 months, and my colon and my stomach is clear. Because that's where it ended up being. My stomach, my ascending, transcending, descending colon, and all 4 chambers of my lungs. So 6 months in, everything's looking better. And I'm like, yes, okay, this is working. Well, close to the end of the 6 months, my hair starts growing back. And it's growing, like, my eyebrows are coming back, you know. I'm not having as bad of side effects. Like, my nausea's not as bad. It's not better, but it's not, and it's like, bad days were like way farther apart. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being sick every day, I was only being sick like 3 or 4 days a week. So I go back in for my 9-month scans, and stomach and colon are both still clear, but the lungs, no change. Then my 12-month scan, the lungs, no change. And now there's a lesion in my thyroid. So this is September, and I'm going on the 26th to see the specialist again. And I have a lot of mixed feelings about this, like a lot of mixed feelings. The whole reason I'm making this video is because I've never actually sat down and spoke to you guys about what this is and what it's done and what the year and a half almost has been like. And the reason I'm doing it now is because recently, I started a TikTok a long time ago, but I started uploading about Langerhans, and recently I've had more people contacting me. There's still a huge need for an awareness to be out there, you know, and there's no real help, no help. And a lot of people that I know that has this, not a lot of people, because there's not that many people that has it. I think I'm the only patient in my state. And then I know one person from Georgia, one person from Texas, which I know a lot of people go to Texas for treatment because there's a huge clinic there that treats Langerhans specifically. And that's really where I want to go, but I don't have the money for that. I cannot afford it, and that's what makes me mad, and that's one of the reasons I'm making this video too. I reach out to the American Cancer Society. I reach out to my county cancer society, the state cancer society, everywhere. They don't help people with LCH. If you have LCH, you're on your own. Not even the LCH Foundation helps LCH patients. Like, they don't help you go for treatment. They don't help you get where you need to be. And unless you happen to be lucky enough to live in a state that has a facility that treats it, you have to travel. So it's like every 2 months I have to go to Ohio. There's very little information out there because it's still mixed. Like the health community overall, not like YouTube community, but overall, there's still a lot of people who say, oh, this is not cancer, it's a histiocyte disease. But there is a lot of mixed information out there. And there's a lot of fundraising and stuff that goes on for research, but there's nothing for the patients. Then people like me, they want to experiment on, but they don't help you. They don't help you do anything. I'm here to tell you that I will answer any questions you have about Langerhans cell histiocytosis. I'm here to tell you that I will answer anything I can. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist. I'm just a patient who feels very, very alone with a disease that is very, very rare. And I'm very scared. And I just want to share my experiences with you guys in hopes that someday down the road, somebody might be doing exactly what I did when I found Jelita King. Somebody might be typing in the YouTube search bar, LCH, Langerhans cell histiocytosis, and they might come across this video. And this video might help you not feel so alone, because there are more of us out here. You just have to kind of look. And like I said, I searched that night and I found one video from a patient, and that was Jelita King. And I'm very close contact with her. We speak on the phone, we text, we talk, we're Facebook friends, all that stuff. And I did find 2 people that had uploaded about Zelbarath. Now, I'm going to tell you that this chemotherapy is $5,335 a month for this bottle. One bottle. And your insurance company, unless you have melanoma, they're going to fight you tooth and nail on this chemo. And if you don't have money put back for it, you got to figure something out. No matter who you are or what kind of insurance you have, you need a nest egg. Probably a pretty big one, because our nest egg got wiped out in 3 months. And I'm literally right now, the moment I'm filming this video, I am running a GoFundMe just to try to get enough money to go back to Ohio. And that's pretty much been my life for the last 14 months. So be prepared. Like, Langerhans is extremely painful. It's a very painful cancer. It's very difficult to navigate through, like, the system. Like, if I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I would have everything thrown at me. Like, I have friends that have had breast cancer, and from day 1 to the day they rang the bell to walk out of their last treatment, every kind of support, charity, assistance, everything thrown at them. Like, if you have what is considered the good cancer, which just means that it's the cancer that's well known, most common, then there are unending options and avenues for you. But if you have a rare cancer, you're pretty much on your own. So you have to do your own research. You have to do your own Like, I have notebooks full of like my blood test results, my scan results, everything, like just keeping track of all my own stuff, because you have to stay on top of it, because even my oncologist, as good as she is, she's never seen this except for in medical school. So she has no idea what to tell me. So once you get diagnosed and get established, sorry, I've been coughing. Well, the specialist, they will write your treatment plan and send it to your local oncologist, and they will take care of like carrying out all your treatments and all your tests. Sorry, if I talk, see, my lungs are just, oh, if I talk for a while, I just get out of breath. But it's going to be a difficult road. No matter which way you look at it, it's going to be a difficult road. And you just have to stay strong, and you have to do your own research. You have to fight for yourself. You have to look, you have to search, you have to do what you got to do, because there's no other option. So if you have Langerhans, if you know someone who has Langerhans, share my video. Comment down below. Do whatever I can to help you in whatever way I can, okay? I'm just a patient looking for other patients, and this is my story, and I hope that it helps someone.